Alright, guys, welcome to your official mock draft. Yesterday we posted an unofficial mock draft that did not get posted to YouTube. So today we're going to do an official mock draft that will be posted to YouTube so you guys can hear it. Alongside me today I got Kenny.
Hello.
Are you ready to do this?
I am ready. The first
Draft
pick belongs
draft
to the
is the
Yetis.
draft is 2 days away. So I know you guys are just as excited as I am, but I am getting pumped for this thing. All right, so the way this is going to lay out is I'm going to have Kenny here tell me who's on the clock, and then I'm going to make the pick. I'm going to ask Kenny if he agrees with me or disagrees with me. If he disagrees, he's going to sales pitch another player, and then we'll decide who should go on the mock draft board. Kenny, you ready?
I am ready.
Let's do this.
With the first pick, we have the Yetis.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and draft Reggie O'Brien to the Yetis. I have inside information telling me that the Yetis plan to play 3 and D basketball. And what better center, as I'm going to scroll to him here, what better center to play 3 and D than Reggie O'Brien? This guy is a great facilitating, shooting big man that also has tremendous ability to rebound and play inside D. So my number one overall pick is Reggie O'Brien. Do you agree? Do you
I
disagree?
100% agree.
All right. Next pick.
And with the number 2 pick, we have the Guardians on the clock.
Guardians. I don't have much information about this guy, so whoever they select is going to be their centerpiece. They're starting completely clean. And like I said, I don't even know what type of basketball they want to play. So if I'm looking at the draft pool and players that are available and who I might want to build my team around, I'm honestly looking at Dion Hill with my number 2 pick. Dion Hill just seems like a center that you can build your team around. He's a great scorer, 50 badges, 6'11", good inside defending, good perimeter defending, good playmaking, great rebounding. Dion Hill's my number 2 pick.
I definitely agree with this pick as well. He is easily one of, if not the best player available, and he fits pretty much any play style as a corner piece.
Yep. All right, next pick.
Next pick, the third pick belongs to the Chupacabras.
Chupacabras. Wait a second. Who was the last pick?
Dion Hill.
No, I mean, what team?
Oh, that was the Guardians.
Well, Dion Hill's good for the Guardians, too. For some reason, I had them flipped. The GMs in my head. I'm going to keep going. Everybody listening to this, ignore this.
Or
Okay?
that part.
Dion Hill's still your number 2 pick. And now we're going to go to the Chupacabras, who I thought had last pick. But they didn't. They have this pick. So, I'm just a little thrown off right now.
Either way, I think Dion Hill fits pretty much any system.
If Dion Hill doesn't go number 2 after Reggie O'Brien, I will be shocked.
Same. Absolutely shocked.
Number 3, I don't know what the Chupacabras want to do either. I don't know what type of basketball they want to play. I don't know who they want to build around. So I'm looking at this whole roster, looking at the top of it, and if I have to pick somebody to build around for the Chupacabras, a centerpiece, I honestly really like Dion Richmond. This guy, I haven't seen a lot of him, so I agree, it's risky. It is really risky when you could be taking players like Mike Welker, who's been in the league and been successful. But Richmond just looks so good. A small forward that can score well, 51 badges, and look at that A-plus playmaking. Dion Richmond absolutely could be the next coming of LeBron. So that's why I'm willing to take the shot of him at the number 3 pick.
I agree with this pick only because even though there's a lot of established players left, you cannot ignore that ceiling. That's a good pick.
That's what I'm thinking. All right, pick 4.
Pick 4 belongs to the Grey Wolves.
Grey Wolves. GM has just been kicked from the league, so go ahead and skip to pick 4. Go ahead and skip the Grey Wolves in the mock drafts.
And in the mock draft, this 5th pick belongs to the Ballers.
Ballers just moved up a spot because of the Grey Wolves' departure. If I'm the Ballers and I have to build around somebody, I know the Ballers love to play defense. I know the Ballers love their superstar scoring players. So if I'm the Ballers, I might honestly go back with LaMarcus Weaver because that's what worked for me last season. They went out and they traded for LaMarcus Weaver, and he really played well for them. So why fix what's not broken? I drafted LaMarcus Weaver.
Yeah, after seeing the kind of success that they had with Weaver, I don't think there's a chance that he would pass him up on that, even if I actually thought that there were better players here. So I think that's a very accurate pick.
All right. Next up,
And with the 6th pick, the Vixens are on the clock with the final pick of the first round.
final pick of the first already. Vixens still have so many good players to choose from. If I'm the Vixens, I'm looking at Zach Boulder. I absolutely love him. You see centers are flying off the board fast. Zach Boulder played for the A-Town Assassins, and he was just an unsung hero. Defensive Player of the Year. Key piece to them winning a championship. This guy's 7'2". Nobody realizes that this guy can score this well. He's an absolutely phenomenal scorer. He just doesn't shoot. It's hard to get centers that have tendencies as good as this guy. His tendencies keep him from forcing up bad shots. Instead, he plays great inside D, great rebounding, and then if he needs to force a shot up because of a shot clock running down, he's going to make it because he's phenomenal at scoring.
I
Analysis?
I definitely agree with this pick. Top center available. Great way to start with a corner piece for a franchise.
All right, moving on to round 2.
And back-to-back picks for the Vixens.
All right, Vixens here in a really good spot. They had back-to-back picks. I'm looking at who would fit best with Zach Boulder. And Zach Boulder really doesn't force up shots. He doesn't shoot a lot. So I either go with another role player here to continue to build my core and then grab my superstar scorer later, or I try to grab my scorer now. I look at how heavy the scoring is late in the draft, and I'm going to stick right at the top. And I'm going to grab a Dallas Hawkins for the Vixens. Somebody to pair with Boulder as a really long defensive big man. The thing I like about Hawkins is for the Tornadoes, he's always been a really good space guy. Like, he stretches the floor for his big men. He likes to sit out at the perimeter. He likes to just pop the threes on offense. But the real key to his game is how great he is at defense. So I think they go Dallas Hawkins here, and they look for their superstar scorer later in the draft.
My analysis is I thought I wasn't going to like the pick because you still had a small forward like Mike Welker still available. But I have to admit, keeping a good defensive identity with Dallas Hawkins alongside of Boulder could immediately make them a really good team. And with the 2nd pick of the 2nd round, the Rattlesnakes are on the clock.
Rattlesnakes have already got Travis Price. As you can see, Travis Price, this boy is crazy good. He is a former MVP of this league, so he is their scorer. He is who they are going to build around. So what can I add to make Travis Price better? That's what I'm looking at. They've already done the Shane Kerrigan experiment. It didn't go bad, but it didn't go as good as they wanted. I'm leaning towards a Brandon Shipley. I'm just not quite sold. Brandon Shipley reminds me of Shane He just plays the style of basketball that the Red Rock Rattlesnakes wanted, because Brandon Shipley will sit back and shoot the three, unlike Shane Kerrigan. He is a good defender still, and Brandon Shipley is a better playmaker. I think Brandon Shipley is just all out more aggressive than Shane. So I'm going to go with Brandon Shipley as my number 2 pick in the second round to put alongside Travis Price.
I can definitely agree with this pick. Brandon Shipley, one of the very good scoring small forwards still available, the best of the bunch, in my opinion. Can't go wrong there.
And you saw Chief Sika last season tried to move a small forward to shooting guard, wants to play big ball. I think Brandon Shipley could do that.
For sure. The Ballers are on the clock with the third pick of the second round.
All right. Ballers in the first round took LaMarcus Weaver. So you look at it and it's like, all right, well, Joe Weber's still there. Joe Weber is somebody that they also had that worked really well. But do they want to keep their exact same identity, or do they want to try to move on? If I'm the Ballers, I try to move on only because our team didn't have a lot of regular season success. If I'm the Ballers, I try to keep my identity with having my 1, 2, 3 position very strong, except I'm going to change it up a little bit to see if I can find some people that'll work better together. So I take superstar Mike Welker. Welker will offer scoring on days where LaMarcus Weaver is cold. Welker also is an excellent defender, good rebounder, all-around great basketball player. He's just a little aggressive for my liking. He likes to shoot a lot, but you saw last year the Ballers chose 3 wing players that all are super aggressive and like to score. So if they're going to keep that philosophy, I think Mike Welker and Weaver could be a tandem to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Even though the rest of their team might not get many shots, when you have the scoring output of Weaver and Welker, they could be dangerous.
Yes. They might not need to get more shots.
And with the fourth pick, we have the Wolves, who are being skipped, so we're going to the fifth pick with the Chupacabras.
Chupacabras.
The Chupacabras chose Deion Richmond in the first round.
All right. Thank you for that. Deion Richmond. We don't know what to expect from him yet. We think he's going to be a LeBron James, but you never know in this league. So I have to be careful here. I don't want to just plan on this guy being broken. I look at Deion Richmond's stats and I see that his scoring isn't all there. So I have to go one of 2 ways here. I either need to back him up with his scoring, or I need to start to build around him. So I'm really just looking best available. And I think Joe Weber offers both. Joe Weber, an excellent defender. Joe Weber, an excellent playmaker. Joe Weber, an excellent scorer. So I think no matter what Richmond ends up being, if Richmond ends up being your scoring emphasis 1, Joe Weber showed for the Ballers last season he can take a step back. It was really impressive to see what he did for the Ballers. But if Richmond ends up not being a good scorer, and Richmond ends up being a good facilitator, like we think he might be, then Weber could be an absolutely great pairing with him.
I think that personally, if you believe in Deion Richmond enough to take him in the top 3, you should build around him. So I was kind of thinking you would take more of a role player here, but Joe Weber just being the best available and still staring you at the face halfway through the second round, there's no chance you can pass up on that.
That and the key point behind Joe Weber is I think he showed last season for the Ballers he's willing to take a step back, so he could be an absolutely tremendous role player if he's just dribbling the ball up and passing it around the court like he did for the Ballers.
Yeah, he definitely showed out his ability to be unselfish and try to help the team. So I like that pick there.
Yep.
And with the 6th pick of the second round, it belongs to the Guardians. The Guardians who took Deion Hill in the first round.
All right. Well, Deion Hill, there is no question about that guy. We've seen him play. Richmond, when we saw Richmond play in the rookie showcase game, we didn't see a lot out of him. He was a little too conservative. Deion Hill does not give a crap about anybody around him. He is going to force up every shot. So I'm going to start to build my role players around Deion Hill. And I think the absolute best role player left on the board, Chris Myers.
Ooh.
I think Chris Myers really stepped up when he was playing for the Talons. He started to shoot a little bit less than he did originally. Every team he's gone to, he shot a little bit less, and he finished with the Assassins, where he didn't really shoot a whole lot at all. Yes, the Assassins let him dribble the ball up and let him play with the ball through his hands, but I was impressed with the fact that they didn't result in shots. It always resulted in him passing it out. So I think Chris Myers, his amazing defense, paired with Deion Hill's amazing offense, that's a good start to a great team.
Yeah, I definitely don't think you can go wrong with one of, if not the best perimeter defenders in the game.
Yeah.
And with the 7th pick, we have the Lynx making their first pick
Yep,
after
Lynx. Yep.
saving Walter White.
Lynx are on the board for their first pick. They had Walter White already saved. They want to do a 3-and-D team as well. I'm looking at who's left available that fits my system if I'm the Lynx. What type of player? I really liked Jason Towns playing for the Lynx. He's just not quite a good enough three-point shooter. So I hesitate to go back to Jason. If I'm the Lynx, I know Walter White plays the same position, but I'm in love with Russ Hopkins coming out of the draft. Russ Hopkins is easily tall enough to move to the 3. Walter can stay at the 2. And then I have 2 wing players that do nothing but catch and shoot and play amazing defense. And I think that if you can pair that with a floor general point guard, could you imagine these two running around trying to get open? You can't double team both of them. One of them's bound to get open off of a screen and then huck a 3 and drain it in your eye. So I think Russ Hopkins is a good start to a great build for these Lynx.
I can agree with that being a very good pick, but if I were in this situation, I would still be looking at Nate Dickerson and saying, man, if I need a big man who's versatile and can play multiple positions and allows me to be very flexible with what I do for the rest of the draft and can still be a shooter, he might be my guy here. But Hopkins is definitely a lethal choice to put on the other side of Walter White. So I
So
can't say that I really disagree with this pick.
the thought behind not going with a Nate Dickerson is these guys want to be a three-point shooting team on the offensive side and an interior defending team on the defensive side. So I feel like with that kind of build, they need to have a good interior defensive center. If this team was looking to just be straight three-point shooting, straight just decent defense, I think Dickerson would be a great move to the 5 position for him, being a 7-footer. But
Yeah,
as you can see, he's only got a B plus interior defense, so I don't think he quite fits what they said they want.
yeah, and if you're limiting yourself to keeping him as a small forward, all of the benefits of being versatile are removed. So you might as well take Hopkins at that point when you're
Yeah.
trying to keep that identity. So I don't think it's a bad pick at all.
Okay.
And with the 8th pick, the Yetis are on the clock, and the Yetis took the number 1 overall pick, Reggie O'Brien.
All right. So the Yetis are on the clock, and they get to build around Reggie O'Brien. Now this pick might surprise some of you guys, but I think they're gonna go with Saris Knight, the 7-foot three-point shooting center.
Ooh.
These guys said that they want to build a three-point shooting team, and they want to focus in the inside. They want to focus with their big men. So Saris Knight paired up with Reggie O'Brien could be an absolutely lethal big men duo. And everywhere else in the league, you see people forming guard duos, wing duos. You haven't seen a big man duo yet. I think this could be the first and the best that we've seen.
And I think having Reggie O'Brien as your center, which I think you would do with this lineup, uh, might have been in question up until Reggie O'Brien showed how well he can play the center position last year. Because every other year he had played center, he had not performed nearly as well as power forward.
All right, next pick.
With the last pick in the second round, we have the first pick of the Polar Bears.
All right, Polar Bears. They're building around their superstar center. So I need to build around a scoring superstar center. I don't see many other better alternatives than, in my opinion, Julius Carter Jr. This guy is supposed to
Ooh.
be a floor general, and with the Stingrays, he showed that he can be now. Now, if I get the Stallions Julius Carter Jr., this is a bad pick because he takes too many shots. But if I get the Stingrays Julius Carter Jr., I think this could be an amazing pick because of how good his perimeter D is. He's capable of scoring, and this guy loves to get his teammates involved, and that's what you want. You want somebody getting your superstar center involved. So this is my pick.
I think you do run a little bit of the risk of seeing that Stallions Julius Carter, maybe a guy who's going to take a little too many touches away from your scoring superstar, if that's how you're going to build. But just the potential to be what he was at the end of last season is just so great that you can't pass up on it at the end of the second round,
Yeah,
which is kind of unbelievable that he's still there. So I think
yeah.
that's a great pick for the Polar Bears, who have back-to-back picks, picking number 1 in the third round.
So I also planned for this. I knew that I had back-to-back picks on the Polar Bear GM. I still want my center getting most of the touches. This, in my opinion, I want my center doing everything for me. So I'm looking for another guy that can support my center on a role-playing situation. I don't want somebody that's going to come in and take away from what my center is doing. So I got him a floor general. And now, I'm sorry, but I love the idea of getting a Jack Moon. Jackie could come over
Ooh.
there and be an absolute facilitating wing for him. Jackie loves throwing lobs, and if you give him a superstar center that loves to showtime dunk like this guy does, I can't even imagine how good that's going to go. Jackie has never had a big man that is a great inside scorer before. Jackie loves to pass the ball and play great defense. So I think now I've paired the superstar center up with two of the best passers in the league. And this center could honestly go for 40, 50 points a game.
I do not disagree with you that Jack Moon is a very good pick for the Polar Bears. However, I'm staring at Shane Kerrigan and thinking you have one of the best role players in the league available to you who can do pretty much everything for a team, including passing. Not as well as Jack Moon, I mean. But if you look at Shane Kerrigan still on the board and you're looking for a role player, I have a hard time passing him up.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think I passed him up because of the way I saw him play at the end of last season. For the Rattlesnakes, he just really didn't look well. But I do agree it's hard to pass up on a 99 player when you know your next pick isn't going to be for another about, 28 picks. So I think there's a better chance Jack Moon is there for my next pick than there is Shane Kerrigan is there. So I'm okay switching the result of this draft over to Shane Kerrigan.
All right.
All right.
And with the second pick of the third round, the Yetis are on the clock.
All right. The Yetis are on the clock, and so far they have Saris Knight, Reggie O'Brien. If I'm the Yetis, I'm really pissed off that Julius Carter Jr. is not there anymore. I think Julius Carter could absolutely be a beast for them. If I'm the Yetis, I'm really debating Randy Baldwin. Randy Baldwin is supposed to
Ooh.
be a playmaking facilitator, but he scores just a little bit too much. But the reason I like Randy and the reason I am going to lock him in as my pick is his play style is a slashing playmaker. I have two centers that are going to be stretching the floor for me, so the paint should be open. I grab a point guard that's supposed to be a playmaker first. So this guy's supposed to find the open guys, and if it's not there, he's going to attack the rim, which I'm assuming is going to be uncontested because the big men are going to be pulled out of the paint. So I think Randy Baldwin, I think that could be an absolutely lethal trio right there.
Absolutely. And you might think to yourself, well, there's like a Darnell Turner available still if you're trying to look for 3-point shooting, but I don't think there's a better situation set up for Randy Baldwin to be successful and for your big man duo to like be supported by a guard like than the play style of Randy Baldwin. I cannot disagree with that at all.
All right, next up.
The Lynx are on the clock with the third pick. The Lynx' last pick was Russ Hopkins.
Lynx currently have Russ Hopkins and Walter White. So I'm looking at the Lynx roster. And remember, they want to play good interior defense. That's what they said. That is what they said. Not necessarily that I agree that's a good idea, but that's what they want to do. You're not going to get many better centers that are back to the basket paint beasts than Derek Walker. Do I agree that this is where I would want to go if I was building this team? Not necessarily, but if I'm looking at how they want to build this team, this guy is probably the best inside defender left on the board. He's not going to take any shots away from your three-point shooters. All he's going to do is rip down rebounds, kick it back out to your three-point shooters, and on defense block a million shots. So my pick is Derek Walker for the Lynx.
Yeah, and a phenomenal rebounder and a guy that you can trust inside on defense is a guy that Walter White has never really had. I love the pick here for the Lynx. And with the fourth pick of the third round, the Guardians are on the clock. The Guardians' last picks were the in the second round Chris Myers and in the first round Dion Hill.
So far they have Chris Myers, Dion Hill. I'm still building around Dion Hill at this point because I know Dion is just going to be taking a crazy number of shots. Anybody that drafts Dion Hill's got to be ready for that. Honestly, I'm debating on making my first crazy move and going with a Rod Roberts and telling Dion Hill to move down to power forward. And Rod can play amazing inside D, grab some amazing boards. But I'm hesitant because Dion Hill also is going to be playing in the paint, so I'm afraid that we're going to be clogging the paint. So for that reason, I'm leaning more towards wanting to draft a stretch 4 to clear some room for Dion Hill. Looking back through who's available. Man, this one's tough because this is going to shape my team going forward. But I think I'm going to have to go Champ Hansen. He is the best stretch 4 left. I know it says he's a slasher, but this guy is just so smart. His IQ is absolutely through the roof. If he's got Dion Hill working the paint, he's not going to come contest the paint. He's smart enough to know he needs to sit back, catch and shoot the three, and that's what he'll do. You saw that with the Stingrays. Champ is great at just sitting around the perimeter. You saw that with the Talons. Champ was great at sitting around the perimeter. With the Tornadoes, however, because they also had KJ who played at the perimeter, Champ was amazing at attacking the basket. The best compliment I can give this guy is his amazing IQ. So my pick is Champ Hansen.
Yeah, when the Guardians took Chris Myers in the second, I thought to myself, man, if they could get another really good scorer down low who can pretty much morph to whatever they need, like a Champ Hansen, then I would be ecstatic if he fell to me in the third round. So I'm definitely all on board for this pick.
All right, next up.
Next up, we have the Chupacabras at pick number 5. Their first 2 picks were Dion Richmond in the first and Joe Weber in the second.
Man, my team is interesting, and right now I'm starting to get a little nervous. Just like the last team, if I don't make the right pick here, I could break this team. So I have to find somebody that's going to match Richmond and Weber. Right now, The thing that I'm worried about with my team is nobody has a clear-cut identity. Richmond, we're not sure. Is he going to be a superstar scorer? Is he going to be a superstar playmaker? Weber, we're not sure. Is he going to be a superstar scorer, superstar playmaker? We're not sure who we're going to get. So at this pick, I want to be safe. And I want to grab somebody who's not going to take shots away from my two guys, but is going to play to an identity, and that's Rod Roberts. Rod has got the best rebounding and inside D that I've seen outside of Byron Rockwell. Anytime I've seen Rockwell and Roberts fight, it has just been absolutely spectacular. So I'm arguably grabbing the second best center in the league and somebody that sticks to an identity to a T. So I'm going Rod Roberts.
Yeah, Rod Roberts is definitely the kind of pick you need here. He definitely shores up your front court, guarantees that you got somebody who's going to be getting boards. So I think that's a great pick for the Chupacabras in the third round. And it's kind of hard to believe that Rod Roberts fell that far.
Yeah, 100%. All right, next pick.
The next pick is the Wolves, whose pick is currently vacated. So the next pick belongs to the Ballers.
Ballers are back on the clock. Right now they have LaMarcus Weaver. And who was their second pick?
Mike Welker.
LaMarcus Weaver and Welker. Oof. That's scary. Every time I say that, I'm just going to get a little intimidated. Oh, man. I saw this guy a second ago, and if I am the Ballers and I know I'm not scared of throwing too many big personalities together, I'm not intimidated by that. They've already proved they don't care. They trust their coaches to right the ship and make them play well together. Honestly, I'm rolling the dice on Jatavius Cleveland. You see big men going crazy fast, and Jatavius Cleveland is one of those big men that just know how to pick a role and stay to it. If this team needs him to score, he'll do it, and he'll do it really well. If this team needs him to just play inside D, remember, in the scouting video, this guy's got 99 inside D, 99 for both rebounds, and high 90s mid-range shot. So this guy is an absolute monster, and I know the Stingrays are going to be bummed that he didn't fall to them in the next round.
Jatavius Cleveland, a center, and you've seen a run of centers recently. So you might be thinking, oh, well, we don't want to take players in a position just because there's a run on them. But Jatavius Cleveland is so good. Again, it's hard to believe that those two fell into the third round.
If you wait on your center at this point, your next up is Ed Payne, and there's a pretty big overall difference between Ed Payne and Jatavius Cleveland. So you really got to make a decision here, and it's going to be a tough one.
Yep, I think that's a great pick there.
Okay.
And then number 8, you have the Red Rock Rattlesnakes, and the Rattlesnakes took in the second round Brandon Shipley.
So if I'm the Red Rock Rattlesnakes, I cannot pass up the idea that I can bring this guy back to my team. So I'm going to go. I'm having some technical difficulties here real quick. Hold up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back. And I'm going to pick him up. He's going to come home. That's what I'm doing. Harvey Rodman's coming home. I cannot pass up the idea that all the big men are being taken. Harvey Rodman played so well for the Rattlesnakes. An absolute monster. Like you said a second ago, the big men are on a run right now, and if I wait, I'm gonna fall in the overall department pretty far. And on top of this guy being the clear-cut best one left, this guy is just, he proved that he fits what the Red Rock Rattlesnakes want to do. Him and Travis Price already have that chemistry. He's already got the chemistry with the GM. I just think Harvey Rodman would be a great redraft here. What do you think?
I think that's a really good pick, and you might be looking at the available players left, looking at your draft board and saying, well, you've got this Darnell Turner guy who's falling in this draft. He could be another great scorer to add, but man, we've seen what Harvey Rodman can do with the Rattlesnakes, and there was a run on big men, so you kind of need that position, and you've already got the MVP, Travis Price, alongside of Brandon Shipley. So I really don't think you can go wrong with him there.
Alrighty.
And with the 9th pick in the 3rd round, we have the first pick of the Assassins.
Well, the Assassins protected Levi McNeil, Jacoby Taylor. So, it pains me to say this, but I think little man Bishop was onto something when he told the Assassins that they needed to draft Ed Payne. I think Ed Payne would be a great pick here, but I'm going to surprise everybody, and I'm going to go with mock draft number 2. Different results. The Assassins GM is just obsessed with what he saw out of Roberto Cortez. Roberto
Ooh.
Cortez is just such a good defender, and he did such a good job stretching the floor in that rookie showcase game. You got Taylor and Levi McNeil who are going to be attacking the basket constantly. And Cortez is just going to be running around from that three-point line, forcing stuff up. I think the whole league screwed up giving Cortez to the Assassins in this situation.
Cortez in that showcase game was a rifle, and an accurate one at that. He was destroying people from range, and I think that could be a lethal replacement for
Mike Welker.
Mike. Yeah, for pretty much anyone actually.
Yeah.
He showed that he's got the defensive capabilities to guard the 1 through 3 spot.
All right, next pick, Vixens.
Yep, the Vixens have the last pick of the 3rd round.
Who have they selected so far?
The Vixens so far have selected Dallas Hawkins and Zach Boulder, and this is their first pick since those back-to-back picks.
So, gotta do it. I mean, he's still there, and you have built your team this point with role players. So I'm pulling the trigger on Darnell Turner against my better judgment. Because
Yeah,
the Vixens have just had a genius draft so far. They went out and they grabbed one of the best centers. They went out and they grabbed one of the best small forwards. They have 299 overall players that are role players and great role players. And they gambled that a superstar scoring machine would still be there in their 3rd round. And that's exactly what they got. Darnell Turner loves to shoot the basketball. And this guy is going to be a great combo wombo to the other two.
Darnell Turner is the only reason he fell this far is because GMs who've seen this man play know that you need to put him in a good situation, and I don't know if there's a better situation built for him right now than the Vixens, who got pretty lucky that such a good scorer fell this far.
And stay tuned for our next video because the Vixens will be first on the clock. It's going to be fun to see who they put next to Darnell Turner. I've already got an idea.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to give our next video in a few minutes as well. We'll post them both. See you guys later.
Later.